Hello! And welcome to Jarviskjir Mind Over Matter.
Yay!
Oh, I'm blurry. This is an exciting episode. This is the caption experiment episode. Already with some major blunders.
I'm immediately choking on water.
If you're watching this live or on the YouTubes, of course on YouTube it has captions, which apparently are pretty good. But I've been trying to work out captions forever. If you go back and you're like, why aren't there captions on the older show? You're an asshole. It's like, no, I've been trying since day one. I've been trying, and this is as close as we've got. So there's a little thing down there as a test. It'll probably get nicer if we actually use it more often. Bear in mind, high tier jank, especially in the fact that Ian and Zoe's mic is gonna pick everything up. So there's gonna be some doubling, but
because we can't currently both use headphones, so
can't
it's coming out the speakers and then the microphone's just picking it up.
But if it's something that you appreciate, it's definitely something that I want to use in the future. Yeah. So let me know what you think, or don't, I guess. But yeah, that's definitely a thing we got going on. The rest is pretty standard, you know. I'm hyped to run some D&D. I'm feeling good. What about y'all?
Yeah.
Yay!
I am conscious.
That is literally all I ask of my cast members.
I am a more or less living human person, possibly.
Meat popsicle.
Fair.
That implies so many things.
Yeah. Okay, so last week, you kind of attempted to just get more information about the Wall of Abenar, the culture, the communities, all those sorts of things. In the process, you were actually attacked by a swarm of decapitated dwarven heads that were flying and basically just ganked you and took you guys out. You managed to beat them off, but Ocean was cursed. To cure the curse, Ocean had to undergo a baptism of the Church of the Voice, the dwarven goddess, which involved basically being entombed alive in stone and then getting a little bit of mindfulness from that process. We kind of talked about how Ocean felt kind of changed after that, and you know, it's kind of an interesting process for both Ocean and for Bogdan, as also, you know, a member of this religion. And Harrenhal, the paladin who kind of actually went out on a bit of a limb to be like, oh, okay, we will baptize you and try to cure you. This is an interesting situation, has basically said, okay, we'll talk about this later. You can come back and we can discuss this, but you need to rest. While also having a bit of a talk with Bogdan, which definitely wasn't suspicious at all. Where Bogdan was like, we'll need warriors who believe, you know. It's like, and even she was like, So we ended off last session with you guys going back to Bogdan's, the secret Alabast family estate, and with Ocean cured. Oh yeah, we'll play this music. Yeah.
They walk in halfway with Ashel halfway through dissecting the zombie
head.
dwarf head thing.
What's the play that out?
Kachal, pass me that scalpel.
It's very
Then you
hard.
cut it open and it's just a whoopee cushion.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it is like cutting open a flesh balloon, because it wants to deflate, and you're trying to keep some degree of consistency going on there. As I kind of mentioned before, they're kind of hollow.
Oh, stop describing them, please.
I will stop describing creatures when Ian stops investigating further about them, which will never happen. So,
Just wait until the Pokemon game.
He's gonna dissect Bulbasaur.
That's how I get when I describe cultures. You know, I set my friends, you know, my players a document on this is the culture you're belonging to, and there's like 3 paragraphs about how they treat sex, and everyone's like, thanks.
It's important.
It's important.
It is.
This is why you got along with this table. Me and Zoe are here like, we gotta talk about sex law.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get M. Night Shyamalan's old. Educate everybody.
Yeah. Ocean, you're feeling much better, although, you know, you just went through the baptism. And it is like evening time on the cycle. There would probably be a clock somewhere in this house that kind of tells you where the 24-hour cycle is.
It's a big, loud, dominating, you know, clock that just every time it chimes, you know. Exactly, yeah.
You can hear it throughout the entire house. Even though it's the end of like a hallway somewhere. Oh, and the other thing you worked out last week is that Catch Owl is actually a swarm of psychic rats. That's important to know.
Yes, I didn't think about doing that.
I think we should mute. You know?
Well, the problem is when one of us wants to talk unexpectedly.
Ah, I see what you're trying to fight the system.
Yeah, when Zoe
Always.
coughed and went off, I muted because if it's just me, it's easy to like mute. But
Whereas you never know when Zoe might blurt out something.
or when I might blurt out something.
Well, hopefully you know well.
Well, yeah, but Zoe might not know.
Yeah.
And then one of us mutes, one of us doesn't, and
I wouldn't worry about it for now. Right now, the thing is that it's a science experiment. It's a proof of concept. What is it you guys want to do?
Suddenly pouring with rain. Cool. Ocean's having an existential crisis. Don't mind her. She's just gonna be like eating fried mushrooms on toast and drinking tea and just being like, the baby.
Ashar will sort of switch away from because they were cutting up the head to try and work out a way of helping Oshun if
Oshun's fine, you don't need to do it as urgently.
Yeah. So it
Not
would...
at the lunch table.
Oh, it was probably
put down the mushrooms.
It was almost definitely at the dinner table.
Yeah.
I imagined it was at the dinner table.
But yeah, Ashar would slow down a bit and like start cataloging things for further investigation and finishing up, and we'll address Bogdan and we'll say, so are we going back down today, tomorrow, or not at all?
Well, unfortunately, stumbling around looking for something that we don't even know is there is probably not the best use of our time. But man, would it be an asset. Did you learn anything from the head?
Did I learn anything from the head, Ollie, other than that it's hollow?
I think what route are you going here? If you just want to kind of do a bit of a dissection, I think it's a medicine check, but an intelligence-based medicine check. Whereas if you want to actually I want to focus on the magic of the thing, I think that would be a different check.
I think, to be fair, I definitely do want to do a magic-based thing on it at some point, but I would have been going for medicine up to this point.
Sure,
so
I agree. I think that's the way to go for it. 13. So yeah, this was a dwarven skull at some point. Magic has atrophied the bone in the skull into just goo. It's not, if that's the curse that Oshun went under, it's basically like the brain matter turns it into this very simple thing. If it doesn't really have a brain, So however it is controlled, it might be a kind of hive mind thing. That might be why they're in swarms. It might just also be so alien that it just doesn't need that anymore. I mean, it's the fact that it's just all one kind of gooey matter kind of tells that. But the things that do kind of stay is like they still have dwarven beards. Their heads are kind of shrunken down a bit through the whole process. It is a very strange thing, and it's very difficult to keep one together rather than making it burst. Or even now, you've kind of had to like peel it open, unwrap it.
So Ashal will address Bob and will say, It's very alien, unusual, keeping with beings or magic from another plane, perhaps. The entire head of this dwarf has atrophied. It's turning gradually more and more to almost a soup. There's very little distinction between bits anymore. If I had to guess, some sort of strange other realm parasite or hive mind that or illness that links that dissolves and unites those it infects.
Oshun pushes away the food.
And yes, that would have been what became of Oshun, as we already suspected.
Well, thank the wars. That did not occur. Are we looking at some kind of... Remember at the bottom of the asylum, the Shadow Realm? So we're looking at something like that inside the wall?
That was my initial fear, and investigating this has done nothing to assuage that fear. We might find a manifestation zone somewhere. As the bartender we spoke to said this had been happening periodically for some time. That seems the most likely option to me. The only other thing would be some sort of hedge magic user hiding in the depths and periodically doing experiments, but it seems strange that they would be so sporadic as was described. I think if I had to guess, if I was a betting Evamari, I would put my coin alternative on a manifestation zone.
What's the name of
My
those?
brain nuggets.
Yes.
It's when you say that you hear the front door clatter, and then someone.
When I say
clatter
brain
in.
nuggets?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Brain nuggets is the trigger word for the automatic doors. It's like speak friend and enter, but speak
Siri.
brain nugget. Yeah. It's Botov. When you like check your head around the corner, Botov is stumbling in through the door with one of the head things kind of bitten onto his neck, and he pulls it off. It pulls the flesh, and he's gonna just get it on the ground and stomp it. They just go.
I had best examine you. Oshun has just been suffering from something similar. If we did not have her cured, she would not have lasted half a day.
I will not stop you.
Ashal will go up to him and start examining the wound area.
Give me a medicine with advantage, because now you know what you're looking for.
So intelligence with advantage
Yeah.
in this. Yeah. Well,
Trash roll, but it looks like he didn't get cursed. It only cursed Oshun when she was already downed. Because Botov still has a lot of fight in him. It's still it's a not very nice wound, but it also looks like he's been kind of scratched up a bit in general. He's definitely like He needs a long rest, but he'll probably be fine.
Ashal would relax slightly and pull away and say, "You appear uncursed. It is likely that Ocean's temporary unconsciousness is what prompted the curse to develop, which is good knowledge to have, I think."
So you also encountered these Varghouls in your own travels to the city?
Earlier today, yes. Where were you that you encountered them?
Walking through the street on the way back.
Then they've encroached this far.
Well, I was going from very far.
What news on anything?
Oh, well, I have a loose layout of Skarhane Kolgard's entire keys to power. His allies that we'll need to take out before we take him out. It's a small list. I would not worry about it.
For our part, we have a adequate layout of the. What is the Ollie? What's the official term? Like
Lore of Lords of that building.
The Lore of Lords vault. Unfortunately, it is rather secure. We have not yet devised a method to gain entry.
Well, that is step one.
Actually, I was just discussing with my comrades that step one is probably figuring out what to do when we're inside. We need to have either a forgery or something to swap out the tablet that has my family's curse. Then step two would be entry, and step three would be exit. Because if we don't have the means to change the text, then there's no point to enter in the first place.
It seems like you have an idea that is more than just carving a new stone.
Well, we have an idea, but short of traveling all the way back to Narashiro, we don't know how to implement that one, and we're searching for more options.
I suppose I will look into how you can better enter the building. Do not tell me if your only idea so far was to enter through the front door.
No, we have no ideas of whatsoever. But we would not be foolhardy enough to just walk through the front door. That would be...
So one does not simply walk through the front door.
Into the Lore of Lords.
Bogdan just has this very, dry look at the room. Just kind of based on his expectations. And we'll,
This is our first heist, so we're open to, any support you could provide.
The hacker, the espionage one, the hot one.
You can't just add the hot one just so you have a role, Zoe.
Excuse me, I think Bogdan's the hot one. But
Bogdan is pretty hot. You know, on the hot or not scale, Bogdan's a hot. But so is everyone in Jarviskjir. Botov will just kind of nod and he'll clean off his scimitar, which has some of the Varghoul goo on it. Varghoul. Any citadel can be penetrated. Would you like to know the information about Skarhane's allies now? Might give you some time to plan.
Yes, I'm quite ready for that.
Okay, well, he will put down a couple of little sketches. So there's the first sketch is of Skarhane Kolgard, the king, himself. Skarhane is a warrior. You will need to kill him in combat. He will fight you. What is plausible? You may be able to challenge him to a one-on-one duel, but you would have to get within his palace to do so. You challenge him on the street, he won't entertain that. You challenge him in his chambers, he may. What we have right now is the element of surprise. He doesn't know who you are, he doesn't care about your existence, and he definitely doesn't care about these two. And that one kind of motions towards Catcher Owl. Skarhane's closest ally, well, all of his close allies seem to be spellcasters. He himself, I don't think, knows a lick of magic other than perhaps a little bit that ancestors are used to. His closest ally is a druid by the name of Uberok. They, I do not think, will leave his side. This is not a matter of someone that you can fight before you encounter Skarhane, unless we have a particularly genius plot. Essentially a magical advisor. Their magic appears to be quite dark in nature. It is not a druid who casts natural spells. More of a witch. Or something of the sort. What's more interesting is this one. And he points to a... So there's a picture of Skarhane, there's a picture of Uberok, who just appears to be a kind of like nondescript dwarven person in an antler-hooded cloak. Can't really work much out about them in this sketch. It looks like he sketched it from afar. The other one is a very attractive-looking female dwarf. Her name is Opalia Bearchest. I do not know what role she is meant to constitute in the court, but she is clearly a close ally to Skarhane. She has taken control of a villa and housed all sorts of parties and events, and yes, it is exactly the sort of thing you expect. I do not think she and Skarhane are lovers, but I am puzzled why she is so connected to things. I think she has a connection to some kind of foul magic. That is my instinct. The fact that she appears out of nowhere, I can find nothing about her ancestry or her family. Uberok comes from a family of lawkeepers that have served Skarhane's family before. Bearchest has appeared out of nowhere, now owns a villa. That is always suspicious amongst us dwarves. No one comes out of nowhere. And those are the core people of interest. I did some brief looking into the leaderships of the church. I do not think there will be any issue towards you. I do not think we'll have any issues anywhere else as long as you gain the support of the brewers, the farmers. I think those were the people you will need. And your histories,
distillers. Oh, distillers, I guess, are the...
Yeah. That's
okay.
that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Distillers you could meet here in the city. The farmers you'll have to go down back into the bounty.
Perchance were you able to ascertain when this bear chest appeared?
I do not believe more than a half decade or so. There are...
How do you spell that? Is it bear chest or bear
Oh,
chest?
it's bear chest.
Ah.
Hmm.
And yeah, and he
I
is
gave the
even like...
benefit of the doubt that it was bear, but
Nope.
Well, strange coincidences, perhaps.
isn't that the same time that the Varghouls emerged?
The bartender said several years. That was where my thought immediately went. You
I would
must
agree.
always be most suspicious of a figure of power without a clear role in these sorts of circumstances. And if Botov's inkling is that she is connected to foul magics, investigate what we suspect might be a manifestation zone or similar, and I suspect it might lead to her.
How would I go about gaining the support of the Stillers without tipping my hand?
Ah. Now that is a good question. I think you meet them plain as a warrior. I think we find a problem they have that you can solve with your collection of skills. And maybe even Ashal as a spellcaster, but you need to be front and center. You do not need to be bought of the would-be king, you just need to be bought of a concerned citizen who wants to lend a hand.
Ollie,
Bogdan.
you've swapped. Yeah, because earlier you described Botov as Bogdan, and I'm like, oh, he's got it backwards.
I forgot to make a coffee
names.
before the stream. That's my excuse. But yeah, that's his idea.
All right. Well, until a strategy emerges on the lore of lords, then perhaps we should focus our attention on the Stillers. We can gain their support without knowledge of my curse being here or there.
It is said that Skarhane has some... maybe it is the Uberrock who can sense people from afar. So once you are on his radar, you will be on his radar. So I think...
So you would suggest we take care of the curse first?
I think there are many good options
though.
here. I think when it comes to the threat to the people, these Varghouls, I doubt they are the cause of the infection, so to speak. I think they are a symptom. I think they are most likely the biggest danger, and we might be able even to deal with the problem without actually having to deal with Barechester herself, if she is the cause.
I'm concerned with dealing with the problem without it being public knowledge who dealt with the problem. We need to do it in a public manner. We need to have something out in the open, something visible. Because if it's some manifestation zone in some forgotten corner of the city, dealing with it would not aid the cause, but it would aid the city, which of course is the goal. So perhaps I should start with the Stillers. Maybe they are having some trouble with the Varghouls, and we can knock two birds with one stone. What do you say, Asharo, Oshun?
Won't people talk, even if it is not quite as much of a spectacle?
Yes, but whom will they say solved the problem? Will they say, it's simply taken care of? Or would they say it was Bogdan Alabas V?
Semi-princely dwarf resolve their issue, and then when you move on to the next problem, they will also mention this person, and then that surely... I mean, Narashiro is full of gossips. I'm not sure how this realm will contend with its information.
We simply need one voice of the people who is reputable to know it is us. And they can quell any charlatans who take credit for our work.
You can always leave them with a signature, an autograph.
There are advantages and disadvantages to each path. I believe that setting the record straight, as it were, offers... It allows us freer movement at a later point. Once we have done that, we can move openly. Before we do that, we risk someone damaging any reputation that you have built up. While you are still unknown is the easiest time to erase long forgotten history.
So you still want to do the heist first, even though we still have no methodology on that?
We may not have a methodology yet, but we also do not have a deadline. My fear would be that starting anything else first puts us on a clock. It's a clock that we don't even know when it will next chime. Because we do not know who will be the first to go into the records.
Before we go to the Law of Lords, I would prefer to go back to the church and ask some questions, lest anything happened to me during the heist. I prefer to send a message back to Cinnabelle. Also, I feel as though I should purchase something that can protect my biting areas.
Oh, that body?
Yes, that's the one. I love that your child had to just be scooped out the way, like, no!
Yeah, she was throwing a fit behind me, so...
Oh.
Yes, more armor for you would be
I thought you
a
were just going
great
to end it there.
benefit.
More armor for you.
Bortov will cross his arms and say to you, give me a day or two and I'll find a way into the Law of Lords that at least has a chance of success.
All right, we can wait that long.
That would be great.
In the meantime, let us equip ourselves.
Yes.
Armor, faith,
Ooh,
a sense of purpose.
I've never been equipped before.
I may leave that to the two of you. It is
You don't want to
armor and faith is your domains, and
They might have books.
perhaps, but I also wish to make a more an investigation on this head.
Oh,
In
stop.
Botov, kid, where did you put that other one you brought in? I would like to
Oh.
examine that too.
In the
You know-
entry hall on the floor.
The thing about these Vargwools is the smell when they pop is very distinct.
No.
Do you have a yard out back that I can investigate them in?
This is a dwarven villa. Every dwarven villa has a workshop. It's probably a bit dusty, but we can clean it up for you.
That will suffice. I intend to look more into the magical aspect of these beings, perhaps find where they originate. That might give us some
And why
idea.
they are profilerating.
perhaps.
Profligating.
What you're looking for.
Profilerating.
Profilo rolling.
Shush.
They kind of are like profiteroles.
No.
They are very squishy.
They're a little like shoe pastry texture.
Olfast. We'll need the workshop tidied up, and we'll need an up-to-date Rolodex of armorers and weaponsmiths that you trust.
Oh, jeez. Okay, I'll see what we can. Anyone who's worth their steel around here.
Nice. Yes, it is perhaps armor first. It is a bit concerning that these things seem to be profiteroling. I would like to get to the church unmolested. Again.
Okay, well, do you want to have a long rest first?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's a tomorrow job.
Yeah, Oshu's just gonna get into bed. It's the middle of the afternoon. Have another existential crisis.
Oh, it's night. It's a socially acceptable bedtime right now.
Oh, good.
Don't worry about that. You can have your long rest. That actually gives time for Ulfas to actually kind of look at craftsman, which is kind of good.
Does that mean it gives Ollie time to look at craftsmen?
No, I haven't got time to do anything today. Let's just say you're doing of the options you're doing the ones I didn't prep for.
Well, here's the thing, Ollie. Everything's prepped until it's not. That's the rule.
Oh, for sure. The city is very much the same. The thing with it's kind of similar with Narashiro. Actually, all the cities in the Underrealm, every day is the same, unless like there's a big event happening. There is the same procession of holy people you can hear happening through the cathedral ward as the last couple of times. When you wake up, you do wake up feeling recovered from the battle of yesterday, both physically and magically. And that is, of course, a valid note, because Ocean, after going through the baptism, you didn't necessarily know whether your natural, unnatural, ascended magic would return. You still appear to have it.
Nice. That's a good thing.
So, when it comes to buying things in a dwarven city, especially craftsmen, a lot of the time the best bet is to go to a bazaar, like go to a marketplace and see what people are working on. A lot of the craft dwarves work out in the open unless they're working on a specific thing. Now, that can be a route you just want to go down. You just want to kind of wander and see what you find. Allfast will recommend that nearby there's a couple of places that are doing just like kind of above average quality religious works. So mixtures of icons, holy symbols, light weapons that have the holy symbols kind of emblazoned upon it. But the thing is with the voice, it doesn't really have a holy symbol. Some people use her face, which is often used as a holy symbol, but more often stone from the wall or sand from the wall is used as a holy symbol, just like Harrenhal had. So sometimes there would be like a glass element in these weapons that would have like the sand in it or stuff like that. And maybe even shields and things like that. So Elfas does note that because he knows that's something that Bogdan might be interested in. And notes that in the marketplace around, there is and it's based around like a little shrine. It's like a little corner street. There's also someone selling kind of thieves' weapons and thieves' tools. There is someone selling pole arms, and there is also some potions and things, as well as just like clothing. Someone selling boots, stuff like that. Nothing in the way of full armor here, although you probably could get like enough to piece together a full suit. Maybe. I don't know if it would be better than the stuff that Ocean already has, or stuff that Ocean could use, but maybe. It's definitely the kind of place you might be able to pick up, like a +1 enchanted item, but the enchantment is kind of more of a vague thing, or something like that. When it comes to actual craftsmen, Allfast will recommend a weaponsmithing hall that has usually been quite loyal to the family, where that's the kind of place that's like, okay, I want to come in and do this. And something that Allfast notes that's quite good about this place, and one of the reasons why he has used it, is that if you actually bring them the material, they will give you a discount. They can work with maybe not every magical material, but like, oh, okay, I happen to have some steel ingots. Well, okay, we'll bash something out for you. His arm was made by this crafts hall. So that's where you can go for more specific things. And they do specialize mostly in armor and clothing. Which route do you want to take at the start of interesting?
The gold.
The craft hall is further away. That would be outside of the cathedral ward, but like not noticeably. It's quite fast to get around the city mostly.
Does Oshun want to get a holy symbol or armor first?
What were you laughing about?
No, don't worry. I was just laughing because Ollie was saying about how weapons and armor that had to do with a voice have a glass element, and I realised I have black glass ink associated with void magic. Make like a glass. Incorporate that sort of glass in with the a voices only sim. The voices only.
You're just trying to mix and match all the magics, huh?
Exactly.
Why not?
Well, because it would probably go.
Probably going to go badly.
Yeah, or worse.
That would
We'd
be
be
fun.
dealing with a new manifestation zone to God knows where.
Sounds like fun.
I mean, I've got enough random crap in my inventory. If I threw it together, I could probably cause a small explosion leaking into other realities. So
that's Ashal's fate.
Yeah, it is. Do you want to check out the kind of bazaar first? See if you were interested in anything in the holy stalls.
Yeah, let's do that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is Ashara with us, or are you staying behind?
No, I'm staying behind to investigate the Vargul.
Aw, I miss Ashal.
Do you want to take any of the NPCs with you? Botov is snooping around. Botov is the NPC you put on a mission. You're like, it's like, we'll be back in 24 hours. Yeah.
You're the Pokemon we keep just for expeditions.
Yeah, do you want to take Catch Al with you, or do you want Catch Al to be with Ashal?
Oh, I catch Al's got to be with Ashal.
Okay, give someone for Ashal to talk to.
Ratty,
Ashal doesn't
ratty.
like.
I think like I think having seen like Catral in battle, Ashal is like a little bit more respectful and just like genuinely like a bit. You are an interesting and unusual being. I have more respect for you now.
And rats.
So it would be like having a telekinetic or a psionic conversation, and like talking about what they're experimenting on, and like.
Rats are going to be the best science assistants you could possibly have. What better technician can run around, pick you up what you need, and then like
That's
run
true.
back?
He is literally lab rats.
I'm surprised Zoe didn't get there first, because I thought that was the route Zoe was going to go there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So, the stall, like I kind of mentioned, is... The thing with the Wall of Abanar as a city, it's all dense little dwarven streets that kind of mush into each other, but not in a chaotic way. In a very structured, very thought-out way. Though just in some places, you know, the streets combining have centuries of years apart. So there's this really nice shrine to the voice, which is actually kind of a wind chime. The wind blows through this street, and combined with the sounds of people kind of living and working in the bazaar, just creates this pleasant noise, which is mildly holy. When it comes to the bazaar itself, it is moderately busy. It's not the grand bazaar in the city. It's just like, yeah, this is a pretty comfortably busy area. There are some guards. There are some beggars. There's a little bit of everyone. The stall that you were specifically told to go to is actually two stalls, which are kind of on like opposite sides of like the shrine area. Both of them are kind of little kiosks. Again, there's stalls that have been here for a long time and probably run down by the family, but they're not a full building. There are a variety of these little holy symbols to the voice. There are a variety of very simple weapons like light hammers, warhammers and things that have been designed with this kind of deep dwarven aesthetic in mind, and stuff like that on sale. Special little magic coins, a little bit of everything, but all, you know, of a religious note. If you do want to pick up a holy symbol, it is 5 gold. And it can kind of be whatever you want. It can be an amulet, it can be a little emblem that you hold, a bit like the obol that you have. Or it can be a weapon.
I think at some point I would like to improve my daggers if that's at all possible. In terms of a holy symbol, I'm not sure. I really hope you forgive my ignorance for running into your religion with very little preparation. I'm not sure either of us really had this in mind, but it definitely has presented opportunities in my life.
Certainly. Well, as a lifelong believer, I can assist you on this road. I'd like to take a look at the offerings for holy symbols and see which one I think is the most adequate.
And big enough.
Aye.
And big enough. Yeah. I think what would probably be of interest is kind of a holy symbol that's actually designed to be imprinted on the front of a shield or something like that. Because then it has the size to, like, you know, kind of hang on Ocean's hip or something like that. Which sort of seems like the sort of thing that Ocean would use. It has a platinum chain, and it does appear to be made of platinum, and is a kind of very geometric, low poly representation of the voice's face, but it's a more androgynous approach than stand-in, and it has kind of these like textured tiling designs on the sides of the face and stuff that's just very aesthetically pleasing. Kind of seems like the kind of thing Ocean would like, while still being explicitly dwarven, but also not being too dwarven and religious that she couldn't have it on her in Narashiro and stuff like that.
I believe this facade is, well, it looks rather excellent, and it's good size, good heft. What do you think?
Yes. That seems perfect. I think I'll affix it to my hip and remove the dagger and then like put it on her hip.
Yeah, that'll be 5 gold for whoever you wants to buy it.
Yeah, I'll buy it. I also will find one that.
That's okay.
Obviously, I'm not a holy magic user, but I want to find one just for personal sake, something a little more intimate and small. And
yeah, most of them are intimate and small. A bit like when people wear like a cross. But then, you know, you bought like the big blinged out one for Ocean.
Right, and I'm thinking of something like a rosary type.
Yeah.
Vibe.
Something very subtle like that.
For Bogdan. Yeah.
Is also something you could purchase here. When it comes to, you know, you're like, oh, I want to upgrade my daggers. Enchanting a weapon to +1 is something you can do relatively commonly in the Underrealm. It's a little different here than it would be in Narashiro. Here it would be a divine enchantment, so the fact that you've been baptized is a good thing. Unless it was done by a, you know, if you were just getting it done like on a street in a bazaar like here, you would basically leave a weapon here for a day. You'd pay around 1,000 gold, and you would have a +1 enchanted weapon. They'd engrave it with, you know, runes that would give it enough heft and power. Because your your daggers are of a large size, there's not really much more you can do than that, other than just getting good. Unless you have like clever ideas. It's like people don't make daggers for creatures your size enough for you to find like, oh, here's a really cool thing, unless it was connected to a large size race or something like that. Which, to be fair, Deep Dwarf warriors can enlarge themselves, they just don't use daggers.
If you'd prefer it, you can, rather than going for weapons, you can upgrade your armor. Like if you got half plate, your AC would go to I think 18 rather.
Yeah, so your armor right now is, I believe, regular leather armor. You can use medium armor as a cleric. Now it would have to be specially made, which will be more expensive. As a large-sized creature, your armor is, I believe, 2 times more expensive than anyone else.
This is bigotry! Large-sized people!
Get it? Bigotry? Big?
My brain went there as well.
I'm surrounded!
But the thing is, medium armor isn't that expensive usually anyway. This would be stuff you'd have to go and get from the craft hall. There would be some pieces of armor here, you know, there would be, you know, and there would be stuff that you could get fitted to fit Oshun, you know, if you wanted to buy some cool-ass boots, or, you know, like a helmet, although I don't think any helmet would fit Oshun's hair, you know, like stuff like that.
Now that's a struggle. Now you've made that way too real.
It's just gonna be like, whoop. It's gonna be great.
Well, I did put on your hat that you wore to the wedding. Yes, you did. On my afro.
So if you want to go like, okay, let's look at armor options. I do agree with Ian. I think that probably getting you a good, because this isn't even magical armor option. Just getting you a better suit of armor, because you've never done it yet, is probably a good idea for your cleric.
That being said, a 2 times cost half plate would be a significant investment.
A 2 times cost half plate would be a significant investment.
That would be half of our spending money.
Yes. But there are cheaper
Yeah.
options available.
Yeah. Much cheaper
And
options.
again, with this craft hall, if you come into the contact with any kind of interesting material, they will give you a discount. I just don't think you have anything that you could make an armor out of yet.
Got gold.
We've got gold. Alright. Anything else you want to check out here in the bazaar? There are people selling, there's people selling... Well, actually, funny. There is a guy selling daggers. It's just, they're designed to be hidden. So they wouldn't be, of your size.
As Oshun calls them, toothpicks.
Toothpicks, exactly.
There is an interesting dagger that he has for sale, which is slightly mechanical, where it would be an arming blade to your size, which means it can basically snap longer. So it looks like a kind of dagger, and then with a press of a button, it, you know, kind of Monster Hunter-y, which you could actually wield. It is not. Maybe not designed for you, it's probably just designed for an extra bulky dwarf, but it would work as a large-sized dagger, and that would be what you can do with this weapon instead. It's an arming blade, it's one of the Jarviskjir few weapon up variants I've done. You can't throw it like a dagger, works as a dagger usually. You can wield it in 2 hands, and the damage dice goes up. So, it is an option.
Yeah.
I'd have to get the price for that for you if you were interested.
I do want to. I think with the spells, I have enough weapons. I do like the sound of that dagger thing, but
You can always come back and buy it another time.
yeah, I definitely need to get my AC up.
Okay.
You know, go away, think about it, and if you still want it, then you can get it.
Okay. Craft hall?
Craft hall.
After all.
Okay. Yeah. Charles not here. The craft hall is a little ways away. You leave the cathedral ward and head more. You actually head towards the distillery district. It's kind of on the edge of it. The distillery district has a notable pungent smell that's actually not that pleasant. When you're going through the streets, there's a smell that kind of smells like the sewers are clogged up. Especially when you're passing the sewer entrances, like the dwarf hole covers. The distillery district also has a lot of just kind of like bulbous metal buildings and smokestacks, and there's also like a layer of smog. But it's largely kept away from the lower streets through a mixture of passive enchantment and street design and stuff like that. It's not as nice as you remember it being. This used to be quite a nice place to go through, Bogdan. You know, especially because there's lots of like beer halls offering, trying to get people to come and stay and things like that. This craft hall is enough on the edge of this area that it's not stinky. But you would walk through some streets and you would notice like, oh, this is not how I remember it. The craft hall itself is just a big brick building where people are applying their trade. But the people who are applying their trade here, they are people of the crafting caste who have they're honor bound to this place. This is actually called it's usually just called the Loyalists. In that you're not allowed in, they will make stuff for you. When you've got a bond, it's even better. That's kind of their mentality. That's their strive. This isn't where it's like, oh, I just need one thing ever. It's like, no, you're coming here as a customer and you're going to come back for the rest of your life. That's kind of the mentality of this craft hall, and that's kind of the crafters who work here. Whereas you've got other craft halls where it's like, okay, I am going to spend my entire life making axes, selling them, making a profit. These people, they choose to do the more specialist orders. And that's the reputation they've got.
Well, this may be a curveball for you. I'm fully aware of that. But that being said, Bogdan has weapons armor, dwarven weapons armor. Did he get it from here, or
that's
picked it up on his
up
travels?
To you. That's kind of up to you. It's interesting. It's actually not a curveball. It's actually an expected ball. But this armor you're wearing right now, up to you. Your, parentage's armor, definitely from this place.
Okay. Well, first... Well, the list that Ulfast gave us, would it align with my family armorers?
Yeah.
Oh, then I'm like, we're going to this one.
All right, you know best.
So, I have not described the craft cast of Deep Dwarves before. I may have briefly in passing. They are entirely hairless. No arm hair, no leg hair, no eyebrows, nothing. The majority of them wear metal beards, as both usually crafted by themselves or a close relative or ally, as both a display of skill and also to fit in amongst the bearded. The crafting family that you'd recognize, you might have a bit of a downfall in your stomach when you recognize that this is a very young dwarf who is here in this part of the forge. But it is the Sifrout family of craft dwarves who have served your family before. But this dwarf is barely considered an adult. They're probably 50. And this is kind of like, they have this forge area, and there are like these kind of cross-hatched walls where you can see between them, like these booths. They're very big though, they're like 50 feet square. There's these big tables, all these forge apparatuses and stuff, and they're all really, really high quality, and there's just a kid operating them. Kind of rushing around, checking on things, cleaning things. They're currently like standing up on a chair and on a box on a chair. Kind of tweaking the fixings on top of this boiling crucible. It's meant to melt a large amount of metal, and it looks unsteady. They look unsteady. And that's what you would approach with.
Young fellow, where are your parents?
Ah!
Don't scare them.
My parents, well, last time a case of the old crimson fever ran through the city, it got Ma, so it's me.
I'm so sorry for your loss. You really put your foot in it, Bogdan.
Your family once forged weapons and armors for kings. Are you up to that challenge?
Kings? What's forged family for the Alabasts? I've seen some of the work. I've seen the hammer that they keep at the Southern Keep. I haven't seen the axe that slayed the Grey Wizard of old, but
No.
I will say something for certain. The blood of my ancestors flows through my veins. And by the voice, I have the skill of my forefathers.
But do you have the education required?
I have read many a book. And I have made many a thing. And there's never a challenge I've not taken, aside from the Centurion challenge at the pub down the way is far too much for me.
Well, let us see if your declarations shall carry weight, for I am Bogdan Alabaster Fifth, and this is my companion.
And if it sweetens the deal, I will win that Centurion challenge for you.
No.
Believe me,
Yeah,
I
Dwarven Ale hits drows so differently.
very big.
You're
I'm very large.
You're Alabaster.
Aren't you
Fifth.
breastfeeding?
Oh shoot.
Yeah, Bogdan will finally turn back to the boy and be like, yes, I am.
We made some great weapons for you. I mean, not me, the royal we, the royal you.
I will pass him the poleaxe that one
Yeah.
of his parents made.
He kind of like takes it with the respect a weapon like this should have, which he clearly sort of has to it, and probably gives you a little bit more confidence, and kind of like hefts it and weighs it. And this is, it's grand. I gotta say, it doesn't hold a candle to the one they have down south, but it's grand.
You're holding your legacy.
So I imagine you have commissions in mind.
Yeah, Bogdan will just kind of like hold out his hand, and the poleaxe just materializes into it, because I'm an Eldritch Knight, and he says, "Yes, my companion here needs armor."
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, I think, considering what you're wearing right now, we will need to plan a whole suit, a whole outfit. What is it that we're looking for? And yeah, here's kind of where the option is for you. The best armor you can get, no magic, no muss, no fuss, is half plate. What half plate is essentially a suit of plate mail fitted to the top half of the body, and then kind of a battle dress for the lower half, so that you can move freely. That would cost 1,500 gold for you, which is obviously higher end of your budget. Below that would
Have
be
you
a
looked at
breast.
scale mail?
Below that would be a breastplate. A breastplate would be 800 gold. It gives less armor, but it also doesn't give disadvantage to stealth, which is actually something that you would probably be interested in. And, when it comes to the design, you would be getting a full suit. You wouldn't just be getting a breastplate. That would just kind of be where the majority of the protection is the chest, the shoulders, and stuff like that. Below that is scale mail. Scale mail will just be a suit of 100 gold. It will be the same protection as breastplate, but it will be louder. It will give disadvantage on stealth checks.
I value my ability to be stealthy. Being large would, I imagine, I might be wrong, create extra noise if one were to put metal on these gams.
It would definitely be hard to craft something that moves silently without mithril.
I'll keep an eye out for the mithril.
Well, I can get some stamped for us, but the price will be... I saw the Master Bogdan's face when I discussed the half plate, and I think that anything beyond proper dwarven steel would be unlikely, although I can, of course, transmute the colours. If you want something more subtle or more like your color scheme.
I think those things would be for the future. I trust dwarven craftsmanship. It's renowned, even across all the way to Narashiro.
Well, I hope to do you proud. Measuring you is going to be a process. I'm going to need more chairs and more measuring tape. And
Baby. Oh. Here, Bogdan, hold the baby.
yeah, you get measured for the armor. The poor boy is he blushes a little when he's got to measure the chest of a giant woman who's double his height. He's a short
It's
boy.
as big as him!
And we'll he'll go over some rough sketches of what kind of thing you'd want. Again, it will mostly just be chest protection, but he'll be making a full suit of armor for you. You know, complete with boots, greaves, and things. It's just, you know, the rest of it will be lighter leather materials and things like that. The chest plate is the bit that gives protection. It will take a while. It isn't something you can make in a day because
Oshun
so
is
big.
intrigued at the prospect of having shoes.
Well, he would give you the option of having those kind of shoes where the heel and the toes are open so that you can feel around, but you still have it kind of strapped to the sole,
That might be
so
a
it
good
gives you the
idea.
protection. That's kind of what I actually think that's what I drew Oshun in on this current character
Yes.
art. But this would just be actual leather, probably studded leather. It's like one of those things. If you took the breastplate off this armor, it would be studded leather, and you'd have bare titties, which is maybe in fashion. I don't know.
Yeah.
My gal.
Bare titties.
You'd be the bare chest.
I am the bear chest.
So that is also an option when you're getting like a suit of armor is made. Is but you can actually strip it down, technically, to leather armor, to studded leather. So write that in mind. I don't think he knows exactly how long this will take. I think this is one of those things where he's gonna have to send you a courier with a hey, come and have a final fitting, and then we do an adjust. So probably like 4 days, I think, is a safe bet to make a full suit of armor for an 8-foot tall woman.
Is that all right with you, Bogdan? Would you
Which
like
part?
4 days before I can be of any real use. I'm sure I can keep myself up. However,
Well, I think 4 days is reasonable given that I doubt anyone has in stock a fine fitted suit of armor in your size in this fine city. So that'll just be the way.
like, it's just like so tall.
There is an option for the couple of days in which you've not got it. There are some people around here who sell. I'm trying to think of the word. Binding scrolls that you apply to your body and give you a small degree of magical protection for a matter of hours.
I've always wanted temporary. Well, I was gonna say tattoos, and then I was like, oh, for hours. Temporary tattoos are lame.
I've heard of this. Yeah, we can probably find a spell for quite cheap. It will have limited use. But I suspect we won't need armor every day.
No, it's up to you. I'm at your disposal.
Well, I'd like to keep you alive, so
I also would like to be alive.
yes.
Yes. Right.
Well, I have one last, more of a request than a commission before we leave. I don't know how much you know of the Alabast history. I hope a lot. But you say you have books. Much of the Alabast armory has either been transferred to the current ruler of the Black Jaw, but some of it was lost to time, and I'm wondering if there's any records towards where that may be.
Oh, of course. Well,
I don't expect you to have that on hand, but
no, but there's some that I know. Just when your family has made legendary weapons, it's you want to remember them. I mean, the most famous would be Deathblow. It was a... he will actually take a dusty book from, like, one of the shelves in the workshop. And it appears to be a hand axe. So much lighter than your usual weapons, and usual weapons that your family used, even. But this axe slayed Halazad the Grey when he betrayed the first Alabast king, just after the Grey Blood Wars.
As Bogdan's looking at, as he turns to the page, he's looking at it, he's like, yes, Bogdan the First.
Oh, so that's... They were... He looks so... They were all Bogdans. Okay.
No, they weren't. Alternating names. I am the 7th... no, the 9th in the Alabast line of kings.
It goes Bogdan, Denbog, Bogdan, Denbog.
First of all, yes, I don't like your tone.
Let me see if I can find the...
I'm sure Ashal would like to read something like this if that's possible.
The legend is fascinating. But I don't think the whole legend is told here. Now there's another one that he mentioned even. I just need to find the name of it. If I even have it written down. Which is an option that I just didn't write it down. Yeah, I don't think I did. What a naughty boy I am. What a naughty... But no, I might have. One sec. We're going to another page in the notes. This is what happens when your note document has 311 pages.
Jesus.
Also, it just occurred to me that dwarves live a long time, so yeah, they probably are all Bogdan. If I were the 5th in line, that's still a long tenure.
That was my thinking.
Yeah, okay.
Bogdan.
Yeah.
Because Bogdan's all the way down.
Bogdan's all the way down. Slashes.
Yeah, so the other weapon, I guess, doesn't have a legendary name, but he will say it's under the protection of the Bastardon Keep, who are allies of the Alabasts.
Yeah, I have them in my notes.
And it's said that is a weapon that is unbreakable and unflinching.
Sounds useful.
Yeah, it's said that in the notes, when even the crafter's notes are vague, it said that it was partly because they didn't work on this alone. It was a joint effort, because it was a joint effort with another family who found a sliver of an unbreakable material, deep in the earth, and they built a mall around it.
Did you say they built a mall around it?
Yeah,
Like a
oh,
M-A-U-L. I don't know why, but my brain was like a mall.
like a shopping center.
Yeah, it's like it's a tourist attraction. What?
I
don't know where my brain went. I'm very tired.
But that weapon doesn't have a legendary name, because that weapon hasn't actually been wielded by a Alabast properly yet. It's under the protection to go to one, basically.
I know where we're going when we're done in the city.
Yeah, it's under their stewardship, and it is unbreakable and unflinching, which is something. And then there would also be the designs of, like, okay, here's like the other weapons that they've made down the line. But those are the two legendary ones he has notes on right now. One being super legendary, one being powerful, more accessible.
When you grow up in exile, it's hard to differentiate which stories are merely tall tales and which are indeed fact. It's good to put a truth to some of the legends I was told as a youth. Thank you.
I'm glad to be of service.
All right. Do you want to get some lunch?
Yes, there's this great mushroom steak subs place right over there.
Oh, fantastic. You can tell me about the voice. I'm particularly interested in knowing if you commune in the same manner with which you would commune with Lady Ivrith. Our Lady Ivrith is most renowned for her talkativeness. For some reason, I had an intrusive Ashal thought.
My telepathy's getting better.
Well, I don't know, Ollie, help?
To be fair, your relationship with the voice is unique. So that, for you, is up to you. As a religion as a whole, she is called the voice in the walls. You listen for her. I think it's one of those things where a lot of people go to a lot of effort to hear her. There are monks who kind of sequester themselves away and just kind of try to listen to her. And the way she speaks is not necessarily through words, it could be through many things, but your relationship can be whatever you want, because it is unique and unprecedented. So
Right. I don't think Bogdan will go into a great depth about his relationship because she's asking more as a general believer, and so yeah, he'll articulate that it's called the voice for a reason. But that's not to say we carry on lots of conversations. On your day-to-day, you'll probably experience the voice in a more subtle influence. Everything around you is built in the wall of Abanir, and as she is the voice, she can speak through all manner. Every facade, every cut in the stone is a communication of sorts. There are many ways to read the world, or the city around you, and hear her. But yes, during prayer, we do receive words. More often than not, most people experience just a general sense of protecting maternal influence, as she has protected Abonair for ever. Others, such as the priests, or specifically the paladins, will receive more direct instruction. And I reckon it's very the same as most true religions in Jarviskjir.
So, almost completely the opposite of Lady Ivrith.
I could not say. I have never communed with Lady Ivrith myself.
She is a very hands-on lady. She communes very aggressively through word, as well as obviously the alteration of our bodies. I wonder, now that I mention this, does anything like that occur for you? Does your body change under the influence of the voice?
Not nearly as drastically, I'm sure. We attribute our very appearance, as it is, as what are we? We're just called detours, right?
My voice.
Oh, you guys heard the voice? Was it running by? Yes, the voice sounds very much like a 5-year-old boy. No, I'm not kidding. Our very appearance, each of the casts, how they appear, is all influenced of the voice. So in that regard, yes. But on an individual level, not so much.
The casts. Does your God-given differences cause conflict within your realm?
Only rarely. The castes, they exist. Everyone is born with a purpose. Mine was to rule.
What if one breaks away from one's purpose?
Well, to live in defiance of divinity is a dangerous notion. I can't speak to it. This would be a question more for the priests. I myself am quite devout. But we were born with a purpose, and to deny that purpose is a sort of heresy unto itself.
Right. So I must complete the purpose that is divine within my own body, and have the voice's child. I can't stop smiling. I can't. I'm trying to be serious. It's serious.
Ocean can be smiley and serious.
No, it's genuinely, she's like examining her space in the world. I just find it fucking hilarious. Okay, I can do this.
Well, I don't know about that.
Oh, what say you why?
Well, I don't believe that the voice is that intrusive. But we are at an interesting moment where you are not a deep dwarf, you are a convert, and therefore much of the way we live our lives it'd be difficult to apply to an outsider.
Is it such a great deviance that someone who is not a dweeb dwarf?
A dweeb dwarf? What are the dweeb dwarves?
A deep dwarf could be a acolyte of the voice?
Perhaps. It may also be that your relationship with me is something that the voice wishes to capitalize upon and foster. As I have been chosen by the voice to resume my family's position on the Blackjaw, and perhaps your proximity to me, your hand in this, is the reason why the voice has taken you in. But faith is a very personal thing. We have the cast to guide us. You do not. I suspect this would be a very personal journey. I wouldn't jump to any sort of conclusion outright.
So
take it slow.
If
use protection.
Just with a double-headed axe. So, if you were to ascend the throne,
when I do, yes.
Yes. Now, this is simply speculation. What would it mean for you to have a child that was divine?
Well, that would probably be solidifying my reign. Rather,
I can only assume that no dwarf before would have ever had a manifestation of the voice on
if I'm
Earth.
being completely honest, your child is the first product of divinity I've ever met, so or heard about. So yes, it would be rather.
Mine too.
I'm not sure. I mean, if you truly feel that your calling is to just produce demigod after demigod, then who am I to disagree? But when you say if I were to have a child, that raises questions. That's not quite the relationship I was referring to, but I'm not prepared at all to speak about that.
I love the idea that Bogdan's voice is just getting higher and higher. Now, Bogdan, you've confided a great deal in me, so I must confess that I will confide a great deal in you. I'm at a precipice where breaking away from my own religion is less heard of than the gift that Lady Ivrith gave me, than siring demigod after demigod. I now am at a position where I must consider what the gift would give beyond the walls of Narashiro, and whether that is right and ethical. If I were to sire childs from other gods, where would those children be kept?
Right. There's also your child, as it is right now, is a rather daunting vortex of change. When this child comes of age,
Yes, you are! Yes, you
Yeah,
are!
I was gonna say the baby, the still unnamed baby, is
Give a name!
well right now it is just the child. Is like
No.
seemingly paying attention to this conversation. His
Fuck
head
me,
turns a
lady.
little to each. His head seems to turn a little to each of you talk, and when you're like, oh yeah, there's that like, there's a little smile. You have a very quiet child, only really screams occasionally, doesn't really laugh much, but there's like a happy burble and seems to just go back to being a regular baby. But there was a moment where you probably weren't paying attention, where the baby was in like spy mode.
Fuck me!
Um,
Damn it!
your child, a vortex of change. We all have our interactions with gods. Mine with the voice, yours with Ivrith, and now with the voice. And imagine being of that substance. It is daunting. What your child will be asked of is something I am personally most interested to find out. And if you have more children of godly parentage, you will be a vessel of untold change, as you already are. Truly, you already are.
Yes, I must.
I'm merely just thinking out loud at this point.
Yes, as have I. We're at the precipice of infinite possibilities, and an arena where no rules apply, and that is simultaneously terrifying and also liberating. It just means that all possibilities currently exist simultaneously on the table. A possibility of this child having allies and other children, or demigod legends of old, siblings with divinity tearing each other apart, consuming each other. I cannot tell what is right. I can only tell divine purpose.
Well, to answer your question, if I had the capacity and opportunity to have a child with a voice, I would take it.
I'm surprised at you, Bogdan. I thought you would put up more of a fight about this.
About what?
People seem to withdraw from the idea of sexuality being divine in many ways, especially of the idea of those that they worship engaging in any behavior that we here on the ground, in the earth, engage in.
Well, if I would be honest with you, then I would tell you that my worship of the voice is that of one beholding a lover from afar.
From afar, Bogdan,
Not always from afar, but more often than not.
you break my heart.
Being here in the wall has brought me close to her, and it is comforting. And when I sit upon the black jaw, I shall never be removed from her again.
Well, I can only say that my position is an arbiter of love and affection and maternal instinct. I'm more bolstered to support you now than ever.
I'll take that.
Clink. It's just juice.
No beer for
Now.
Ocean.
Now, the cheese that they put on this sub.
Sub.
I was thinking earlier today. I watched someone make deviled eggs, and I thought deep dwarves probably respect a deviled egg.
And now I want deviled eggs.
I feel a sentence no one has ever said before. You don't think
I am
about deviled
affronted.
eggs that often. But
I do.
When I see them, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll have it, but I'm not going to go through the effort of making them. Anyway, this is a great time for a little break. That was a great little conversation.
It was pretty good.
And we'll be back in 5 to 10 minutes.
For a yogurt.
Yeah, like however long it takes to make a yogurt.
Well.
Hello. We're back.
Don't be a bitch.
Don't play with the accessibility tools. Let's deal with Charles' weird science. Now you have you have Catcher Al as a little assistant right now, so it's totally possible you can get basically advantage on this check. Is it the route you kind of mentioned before? It's like, okay, I'm gonna start trying to work out what magic caused this.
Yeah, and because I now have 2 of these little things, I can be a bit more destructive.
The one Botov brought back, he did smush under his foot, so you have goo.
Sorry, you cut out.
Yeah. The one Botov brought back, he smushed under his foot, so you don't really have 2. You have one good one and goo.
That's fine. I've got smooshed one, but I can like put bits of in put like vials full of reagents and such like. And
I'm
use
eating yogurt.
Yeah, this is not the best time to be bringing yogurt to the table.
And then be dissecting the more intact one and looking for things. So
Yeah. Okay. Arcana check. Let's at least give Zoe a couple of mouthfuls before I start describing things. Well, you dodged a 1 and ended up with a 20. But an unnatural 20.
Ooh, unnatural.
Yeah. Well, I used to have a player who used to go,
20.
"Oh, an unnatural 20," like every time. Like I told you before, this is a magic that you're not familiar with. You're starting to get at least familiar with how to identify different forms of magic as you encounter them. You would easily be able to work out if it were Fel, for instance, if it was shadow magic, or if it were divine magic, even if it were a divinity you weren't familiar with, the way it would act. This is a magic you were hitherto yet unfamiliar with, but you have enough kind of magical theory to put things together. Especially the Wheel of Magic theory, which is really a combination of theories in that every magic has an opposite. Fel magic has Fey magic as the opposite. Fel and Fey are directly opposite, hence the mirror planes. The same with fire and water, right? Although they're elemental magic, and that's kind of weird in its own way. And does storm have an opposite? That's another question. The storm magic. But based on that wheel and based on the way the magic acts and how it is transformative and how it would be close to other things, it is definitely hellish, fiendish magic and mutation. Now, you know enough to know that is vaguer than most. But is still a big distinction. That's probably why they goo. It's why the flesh atrophies away. These are creatures that are better set for the hells than the material world. It might answer some questions, but also probably gives you a lot more questions as well, because you're not very familiar with this kind of magic.
Would I be? Would it be a logical connection to assume that the main way that sort of magic would make its way into the material plane would be via
invitation?
Yeah, invitation. So
Yeah.
it would be
When as you already know and has come up, the mirror planes, so the Shadow Realm and the Fey Realm, things pass over a lot easily. They are directly connected to the material plane. The Hells are another place, if they even really exist, in a physical sense. The only real way to get here, for that magic to come through, is via invitation, although the Vargals do seem to propagate themselves, as Zoe keeps trying to say. But someone has there is at least a point that they came here through. Yeah. Now, that could be aeons ago. That could be direct summoning. It could be indirect summoning as well. there's a lot on the table there.
Okay. I don't know enough about. I don't know much about the hells. Obviously, do I? I think I have a feeling I might have taken. I did take Fiendish as one of my languages.
That's useful.
So would I like I as you said, I don't know much about the hells. Would I know enough about the beings that exist there to know whether or not they would frequently form contracts with or be willing to?
I'll allow you to make another Arcana check to sort of see how much you specifically know about this kind of thing. What's clear is that the Varghouls are not making anything.
Yes.
The Varghouls are clearly, like Bortov said, more of a symptom. And it might be a deliberate plot. It might be that it's probably some kind of fiend has been brought to Abu Nar, and while there have summoned Varghouls. Fiends can invite fiends very easily. And often there's like a chain of that happening. Of fiends summoning lesser fiends who summon lesser fiends. Or if Varghouls don't have enough to summon anything, maybe if they had enough of them, there would be something that they could do. But you don't know enough about the specifics. Because they're the Varghoul is such a symptom, you can't really get anything from who the patient zero is of this fiendish infestation. If you can get a rung higher or you can get a little closer, you can work it out. Because with that 17, one thing you do know is that, I guess more similar to Fae than the Fel, fiends have attributes based on their domain. Similar to angels as well. And so like you have been talking about the servitors made by the voice or by the Church of the Voice, well, they would be of the domain of the voice. Fiends are the same. So if you can get one, you can work out what kind of thing you're dealing with very quickly. It's just that the Varghouls are so pitiful on the fiendish scale.
They're the littlest grunts that you would find in any Fey court equivalent.
Yeah, and there actually is a Fey equivalent to Varghouls that are similar. It's like they're basically just animals. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Eventually, I imagine Bogdan and Ocean come home.
I love the image of like Bogdan and Oshun being the best friends now.
Yeah, we come inside just chatting with our bubble tea and
hanging out with bubble tea. Exactly. What would dwarven bubble tea be like?
really
Thick.
gross. Yeah.
I just love that. Not even you don't.
Not even a
think
moment of hesitation. Like,
gross, thick.
it's called world building, Hungy.
So it seems you have had time to get better acquainted. Was the trip successful?
Yes, we seem to have acquired what we need and had a good exchange of ideas about the voice.
It'll be 4 days before we have a viable armor for Oshu.
You heathens wouldn't understand.
that is kind of that is completely
just a look.
As Charles stares at you for a moment.
Not even a little Ashal laugh. A little.
No, I'm afraid you're not getting that from Ashal today.
I'll
Ian
work
found
harder.
it. Ian found it amusing. Ashal didn't. Ashal will continue. I have investigated the Varghul to their limit. They are barely even animals in terms of where they come from and their place in their own realm. They are fiendish in nature, from the hells. Beyond that, I cannot tell you much. It would be theory built on hypothesis, built on unstable grounds. If you wish my guess, it is likely that there is another fiend somewhere in the city that is summoning them. Fiends beget fiends. So, I would suggest there are two likely things if we are continuing with the idea that Bare Chest is responsible.
Took me
One,
by surprise. I forgot about it again.
she has some sort of contract with a fiend. Two, and this would not surprise me in the slightest, she is a fiend herself. A being suddenly appearing from nowhere has the ear of a ruler. We all know how much other planes like to influence our own given half a chance. It would not surprise me if not under her thrall, what is his name? Scarhane is at least paying rather too much attention to her counsel.
I have 50 silver on a shawl. Anyone want to bet against?
No, I definitely not. I think that lines up with my uneducated assumptions as well.
Oh, it's the voice.
Unfortunately, to gain any further information, I would need a being of greater power called from the same domain. Perhaps if we investigate the source of the Vargals, we will find something, but I cannot guarantee that. Knowing what domain they are from might allow insight as to abilities, temperament, and goals, but despite my mastery of the language, fiends and the hells are not my speciality, so I cannot guarantee my knowledge would be useful.
You've done well. I assume we're still putting this on hold until after the heist.
I would suggest so. That would certainly be my choice.
Very well. Well, while we were shopping, I did not see any extratemporal entities, unfortunately.
Well, if they had infiltrated a popular market area, I would like to think something more would have been done about them.
Right.
But I suppose you can never trust rulers. Present company notwithstanding, you are not currently a ruler.
Was that a joke, Ashal?
Like the tentacles move in a slightly suspect manner.
I would like to see the church for some last questions before the heist, but also
We can go for evening prayer.
Oh, well, will it be safe with these creatures hurling themselves around?
Should be.
Again, if they attack a primary place of worship in the city, I imagine the city will want to do something about
Yeah,
it.
it'll provoke a response, yes.
Fair enough. Or we could wear them, the ones that we have, like disguises.
I mean, the smell, though.
The smell there.
Yeah. Also, I don't think you'd fool anyone.
Challenge accepted. Oh no, a shawl is rubbing off on me. All right, evening prayer. It is.
Ashal, do you want to come to evening prayer?
No.
Yes.
I shall stimulate if they ever enter a place of worship.
Books.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
but-
no books,
but
dwarven
not.
prayer.
I'm sorry. I shall as this campaign has gone on, Ashal has become more and more atheist. If Ashal met a god at this point,
I don't believe
they
you.
would spit in their eye.
I mean, that's fair enough.
Yeah, ink.
Aw.
I had a player lose their character because they told a god that they didn't exist.
Come back in 100 sessions.
Well, I'll just go with my new best friend, Bogdan. Yeah.
And I will remain with my new best friend, Katja.
How does Catch Al react?
Catch Al, you just kind of see like a rat scurry under the table back towards the Catch Al illusion.
Would it be best friend or best friends?
We are one.
This is an interesting question.
Catch Al.
Son of a bitch! We are one.
Catch Al does scoot closer and look up at you because Catch Al is still tiny.
Sit down.
Gestalt beings, are they singular entities?
What are your
or-
What are your pronouns?
Catch Al actually did this last week.
Yes.
They, we,
Very
she,
good.
they, we, she. No, Catch Al's response is that from some perspectives, Catch Al is the brood mother of the swarm, but additionally, we are them all. And our psychic presence extends as the swarm grows in strength. If it were just the brain in the mother, I would be very weak and far less communicable.
Would you be able to assimilate other rats or do
Only the rats spawned by the brood mother have the correct psychic blueprint.
You can tell by the way Ashal is making notes and like the tentacles are twitching.
Many
But
Ashals.
Ashal wants to investigate this further, but
Yeah.
he's obviously not going to ask.
Catch Al does lean over the because it's a cloak with an illusion in it, so it does. Catch Al just kind of extends and leans over the book slightly. Orkshua has notes on this process. Orkshua is the one who interred me into this form.
Does Catch Al like grooming and pets? With a little cat brush.
Do you ask?
No.
When you saw the rats, they were pretty raggedy, but they were being thrown around.
Here, Ashal, here's a cat brush.
What is a cat?
You can investigate the Catch Al with their consent and give them a groom.
Catch Al
I'm
does
not
not wish to be
sure
groomed.
how much I could learn without dissection, and I would not visit that upon a sentient creature such as Katja.
You just ruined all of the fun.
That's what I shall do.
Right. Evening prayer. So, to assuage your concerns, you're in the cathedral ward. Going to the cathedral for prayer is big streets. You know, big, busy streets filled with people. If there are demons around, you'd like to think they'd be more easily noticed. Do Do you specifically want to look for Harrenhal, or do you want to just have a kind of introspective evening prayer in the cathedral, in like the pews? What's kind of your plan here?
Yeah, Harrenhal.
Okay. You can do so. Harrenhal definitely seems to be not necessarily a front of house paladin, but this is like their haunt, so to say. They definitely don't seem to be one of the paladins who act as a guard, but overseeing the cathedral, the main procession, is definitely something that, if it's not their duty, it is something that they are dutiful towards. Harrenhal will notice you approach from afar and kind of it would actually be running their fingers through a kind of like prayer bead sort of thing, and then they would put the beads back around their neck and stand to acknowledge you. And I imagine Bogdan is with you, or did Bogdan go off to pray on his own?
I mean, physically with her, but, you know, once they start praying.
Okay.
Yeah. And Bogdan will be like, I want one of those. The beads that you have.
Harrenhal will give you a dwarven nod, Ocean, and will look towards the... You know, she's kind of on the side of this main chamber, so there's like pillars in between you and the main area where there's the statue of the face. It kind of like it's coming out of the wall and is kind of like segmented. And so she kind of like motions towards it, but then looks back to you and is like, I imagine that you have a lot of questions.
Yes. Bogdan's been extremely helpful with many of them. By the way, I have to think. I think I would have left the baby with the Shal.
Yeah!
Because, like, I don't want to be apart from it ever, but also, it definitely
That is a big deal.
spies on
Yeah,
you.
that's a big deal.
Ashal totally didn't just palm it off on Catch-Al.
Yeah.
No.
I was gonna say, Catch-Al has the baby.
Have an episode
I mean,
of, like,
Catch-Al is the
you
brood
have
mother. They are a literal mother.
It's true, but you have the opportunity
You come
to
back
have
and the
that.
god baby is assimilated into rats.
It's too late, mother. I have seen
I
everything.
was like, as it should be. But no, you get the 90s sitcom moment where they believed that men couldn't take care of other humans, so you would pretend to be an idiot.
I have a hankering to watch some of those
Yeah,
old
it's like
sitcoms
taking down
again.
a garbage disposal or something.
Ebimari literally have a gender neutral anyway. So,
They don't
and I know-
understand children. Yeah.
Yeah, like leaving a baby with Ashal is like.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's exactly what should happen.
But if you leave the baby with Ashal, the most that's going to happen is it's probably going to sit on like a table near Ashal, while Ashal is like.
Ollie, I'm trusting you.
Yeah.
Give me this 90s sitcom.
Oh no, trust me. We'll come back to this later. We've got time.
Baby speaks to Ashal.
Harrenhal isn't aware enough to realize the significance of that. Of you not having the baby. But
I think I'm sorry to retcon. I should have done this before we came over.
no, that's fine.
But I think as she handed it over, she would say, "Now, Ashal, I will just be having a nap upstairs." Just in case.
Ashal looks at the baby, looks up at Ocean's retreating figure. There's a slight shake of the head.
Wah, wah. Okay, back in the present time.
Shwoop.
This was all just a traumatized flashback. That Ocean
Yeah,
had
it's
with
fine.
regret.
It's all good.
Yes, conversations about the voice answering questions. I was wondering how one goes about communing with the voice.
Well, there are different ways. There are monks who have spent their entire lives high in the areas of the cathedral locked away, so that all they can hear is the voice directly. Occasionally we ask them for guidance. And Enniver is, of course, earning her respect. We in our order who become Grand Paladins, who can wield power of the voice quite freely, and she will actually like hold out her hands. She's not got her like weapons equipped right now, which is actually like different from last time. She was like leaning on them, but she'll like hold out her hands and she'll make a very, you know, when you cast divine magic, Ocean, it is it comes out. It's sorcery technically.
Yeah, she
This-
is the thing.
This is a practiced prayer that she makes with her fingers in kind of a sign language.
That's the Naruto.
I will say it's more of a sign language. If it's a Naruto, maybe. But, and in doing so, it creates like a little, like a little disc of a kind of yellowish light. There's this kind of like pale gold color that a lot of the seems to be the light of this religion. It's actually glowing on her pauldrons right now. There's kind of these like almost holographic discs that are like floating. And she does it just kind of a display of just something. For those who can gain a deep connection to the voice in the walls, communing with her is more common. But direct communion, God to mortal, is exceedingly rare outside of those cases. We listen for the voice, and we hope that she may guide us in our times of need and in the times of need of others. That she may shatter the chaos and bring an order to our mind that can bring purity, can bring guidance, can bring happiness, sometimes bring sorrow. What she brings is not ours to ask, but it is always order.
Do you see order as the opposite of chaos?
Yes.
Yes.
And then the whole congregation goes, yes!
This appears to be a strict element of their religion.
It's like the wheel of magic, opposites.
Yes.
Okay. Alright. I will go to prayer, and I think Oshun will attempt to communion. We'll just like, through the prayer, just keep attempting every so often to test the waters before like any further steps like taken.
Yeah, of course, you can't cast communion naturally. You can cast communion through your blood bottle.
Of course, yeah.
Now that
Okay.
is currently filled with the loyal blood of Ivrith's followers. Not filled. I think you have like a usage spent. So that communes with Ivrith. But
What happens if you have the
You're not
blood of
here!
their of
I'm
the voice
surprised it took
follower?
Ian that long and some prompting to realize that it's an enchanted
Well,
magic item.
I'd forgotten the
I'd
item
forgotten
until
it
you
as
mentioned
well.
it.
Yeah,
just
you
now, and I
can.
was like,
So just remember, you have a finite number of uses until it's refilled with the blood of the loyal of Ivrith. But it is you had it refilled relatively recently. But you use that to commune with Ivrith over the period of an hour-long ritual. So you can't just go swoosh and disappear and try and talk to the voice in the walls, because you actually don't have that connection. You can pray and you can have a pleasant experience for sure.
Yes.
And you probably do, because it's a very calm and orderly place compared to a Church of Ivrith. There are these orderly places in the Church of Ivrith, but even in, Cinnabel's church is also a bathhouse and has the chaos of that. the Church of Ivrith as a whole has the chaos of scheming machinations, often inspired by the voice of Ivrith herself.
This is
Here?
definitely a perfect union.
Here you have a calmness and order, and rows of dwarves making their quiet evening prayers.
Alright. Oshun will do some prayer for the moment. We'll sit next to Bogdan.
Just a giant ocean just appears on Jaken's camera, just boom.
Jaken's sucked into the world and just like, no!
Like an anime.
I feel like I'd get immediately eaten by a Sharl.
Yeah, probably.
Dinner.
But not too close so that the prayer isn't like interrupted. Or
Harrenhal will also walk, like you're probably on the edge of a pew, and these pews don't have backs either. They're just like stone stools.
sits on a pew.
And Harrenhal will basically stand at the edge of where you're at. You know, a good like 10 feet away, but as essentially your bishop. You know, within a spiritual guidance range.
Oh, nice. Am I doing it right?
You don't hear anything, aside from the quiet whispers of, well, dwarves trying to whisper quietly their own prayers in Dwarven and Celestial.
Trying to quietly.
And the pitter-patter of feet around a cathedral, because this is a big cathedral, so like even in the quiet main chamber, still just you hear the city, you hear the cathedral, and you hear the busyness and stuff like that instead of the voice. But maybe, as Bogdan said, that is the voice to a degree.
All right.
Get up after a bit.
Yes. Just gonna be like, solid attempt. Gonna keep practicing. Like meditation.
Harrenhal will have a bit of a smile. You are expecting more.
I'm not sure how much you might know of Lady Ivrith.
Enough.
Yes. It is. I don't mean any disrespect, obviously. I've encountered the voice through the baptism myself, and would never disrespect your establishment. But it is quite jarring when everything is silence. The question rises up, is anything even there?
Sometimes the silence is the voice. The gifts your goddess gives freely are granted through hard work and respect in our city. It is a harder path, but a more honorable one, without the taint of bloodshed and fear.
I understand. It is almost as though for the spokespeople of Lady Ivrith, the gift is the hard path.
That is something I think some of our own people would agree with.
Do you know of the Ascension? The process?
I know of it. You are clearly different.
Do you know that it is different for each individual, of course, the gift that Lady Ivrith chooses to bestow upon you for her plan, her will, her desire, maybe. with no thought behind it. In my case, I descended deep into the caves below Narashiro. The voice's baptism reminded me of it somewhat. But even then, down there, where it was darkest and cooler, there was still life. There were the spiderkin. I could care for them and learn of them and develop the gift of maternity through that process. And then, of course, the ascension occurs through the will of Ivrith. I wonder if you can imagine the baptism via bodily change. You crack apart and become more, and
Like a geode.
yes, a geode with mandibles. She'll just like joking. That's great. I love that.
Harrenhal will kind of like suddenly take your hand in both of hers. She's a very strong woman. And not in like a clasp, but it's also a you ain't taking that hand away for like a little bit. You are clearly deeply changed by a goddess of chaos. And there is hope for you in our goddess of order to set you right. And it does not mean that the path you have walked was wrong. But order is always preferable to chaos. Without it, our grand society would be nothing. Without order, the stone would not know to be hard and water would not know to be wet. And that is a world that Lady Ivrith seems to, if not inhabit, then wish upon. Fully transforming her most loyal, whatever merits, is chaos.
It is that. It is chaos as the eruption of a new star is chaos. Necessary for life. But I would not wish you to be changed at all in your beliefs or your society. I would want you to stay just as you are, because I see the potential for a beautiful union in me of order and chaos at either side, and I would not have you changed. But yes, I can see the potential.
Such a concept is laughable, but not impossible.
Would you join me for some reading?
She looks around.
Another notch in Ocean's bedpost.
She looks around and will start walking towards the upstairs. Like, we do have libraries that elaborate on our teachings, on the words of our monks, on what we have heard, on what we can do, on how we can build, on the laws of this land, both of our society and of our material.
And what is your attitude to the union of peoples on the physical plane?
The Treaty of the Deep is a commercial agreement that may bring good tidings to all of our kinds. I likely would not have assisted you if not for the treaty.
Ollie had that ready and
That was
waiting.
pretty good.
It was easy.
That made my day.
That was very good. I see I'll have to be more gentle with this one. It's so she may even like say it's just like sort of like
To herself, yeah.
herself.
Used to talking to the baby. But yeah, she will go and give you a pile of books to read. I can't leave the library, but
Yeah.
you can read.
She'll have a brief read, not take up Bogdan's time, and like thank her Harrenhal for all of her guidance in her time and her like being great. And I think that's it for what Oshun wanted to do at this point.
Ashal.
Yeah. On a serious note, Ashal did actually have something that they.
Okay, you want to do?
Try doing
Yeah.
it with the baby.
Well, no, that's specifically it.
Oh.
Like after Ocean and Bogdan had left and they'd been gone for like a bit,
Yeah, like an hour.
Ashal would just like pause in what they were doing and just like look at the baby and just because they're literally Ashal would have just plonked them down on a table and
Catch-Owl would keep an eye on them. There would be like
Yeah.
a rat nearby.
yeah
Good.
but Ashal would it's almost like horror movie-esque how Ashal suddenly looks and then starts very slowly and moves in front of the baby and just like crouches down and looks them in the eye.
The
And it's
baby
just,
will stare back.
What are you?
Don't eat the baby.
Make me a dexterity save, Ashal.
He's gonna throw up on me.
He's gonna fall.
Oh, could be worse.
I need to roll for the baby. There's no way. A 12 is middle ground. I gotta roll for this. The baby got a 17.
Oh.
Ashal, as you lean up close, as you
Fucking Ashal up.
lean up close to the baby and kind of give him a look, he reaches out and squeezes two of your front tentacles with his little hands, and just doesn't appear to let go. And it does kind of. You're sure if you make it or if he makes it, but there is a squeak. Maybe Catch-All made it, but there is like a. And the baby just kind of grips onto Ashal's face tentacles and does kind of smile. A kind of like wide mouth smile.
Unky Ashal.
Ashal would obviously flinch, but would like after a moment sort of go back to looking at the baby. Do you know? Do you understand what you are?
Baby just kind of wiggles its hands around with your tentacles in its hands. Yeah, exactly.
Ashal will then, like, half to themselves, and will just say, "What do you want?" And then we'll there'll be then silence for a good 5 or 10 seconds, and then Ashal will extend telepathy to the baby, and we'll just see what, like, once it's extended, we'll just listen for a few seconds, just to see if anything comes back.
Give me an intelligence check. This is a new experience to you.
Well,
Oh, Ashal nearly became the best banani ever.
You feel sapience, but it's a burgeoning sapience. There's a definite difference between reaching out telepathically between, a humanoid and anything else. And you feel, the inkling of a usurper elf mind. You feel a mind similar to Ocean's in some ways, and also just abstract in others. It's not quite formed. You feel base needs. You feel that the baby is relatively content, is curious. That curiosity is really, really starting to spark. You can almost even feel sparks of that curiosity as the baby kind of like just fiddles with the face tentacles for a bit. There will be a point where he lets go and goes for one of your eyes, but you move away.
Yes, with telepathy, I hope.
Yeah, you
I'm
can
not
see
forward
you.
to that.
You can see. You can see. He's like mentally going like, I'm gonna hit that. Bap. And he tries, which does make the baby kind of like topple over a little, and then it just kind of like.
You haven't really taken care of a baby until they sneeze in your eye. So
Yeah. I'm avoiding bodily fluids for now.
Yeah. Ashal will still very suspicious. Like, I think what Ashal was half expecting was to feel something almost behind that. Like,
Keep trying.
but Ashal is going to make that do for the time being, and because clearly it's not going anywhere at the moment, and is just going to stand back up to full height, float back up to a bit higher off the ground, and after staring at the baby for a few more seconds, we'll just return to what they are doing, which is just random magical research and note-taking and
I
stuff.
should have tied the baby to you.
I've already got a not Modron on my tied to me.
Legally.
A what one?
Legally, not a mod.
Oh, legally. Legally not a Modron.
Huh.
Yeah. The baby definitely, as the hour turns into 2 hours, turns into 3 hours, the baby is growing increasingly upset. Now, this is a well-behaved demigod drow baby. The emotional changes are very slow, but it's even to the point where you can see this baby's getting cranky. And it's just you and Catcher Owl, and like anything that was within arm's reach on this table you put him on has now been knocked off the table. And he's returned to his angry face.
Oh, shit.
Have I got anything that I can give him to entertain himself with?
The gold bar.
I'll give him some aether dust. No.
Don't drug the baby.
I see small knife. Crowbar.
Well, I've got a bottle of black ink.
I see a
So
grappling hook.
what I'd probably do would be like go and fetch a bowl from somewhere, pour the black ink into it, and like give the baby a few sheets of paper, basically to like make
Splash,
handprints and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it actually works out. The first instinct is, of course, splash and make a mess. And this makes the baby start to laugh because it's making a mess. It's making noise. It can make splash happen. That's great. And then it does realize that it can get the ink on the paper to the point. It's not really got fine motor control yet, so there is just like bop 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 there.
Takes a tentacle. Blah.
Yeah. But that entertains the baby for long enough. Ocean and Bogdan, when you come back, the baby is on the table, covered in ink. Very
Ashal
sleepy.
Ashal is at a nearby table, just studiously ignoring the baby.
Oshun's gonna say to Ashal, "You've got bath time next. Good luck."
If you wish the baby to look exactly as it does now, by all means. Because I have no intention of bathing that thing.
While the baby is very sleepy and covered in ink, it does reach for Ocean, like, with At this point, he starts crying. He's like, "You've been gone for so long." This is exactly Cats. You've been gone for so long, and now I'm mad that you were gone earlier, but I'm happy that you're back.
Yeah.
And so, well, yeah.
Sweep up the baby, have a sink bath.
Yeah. Okay.
Tell me all about it.
The baby is starting to kind of talk a little bit. Not words, but...
Mother,
He gave me the ink.
let me regale to you a tale, mother.
Who knows what this baby's going to sound like?
And Oshun will probably gesture Bogdan over.
Bogdan's looking tired, but okay.
Bogdan, I think I may have a means of communing with the voice. I need you to fill this jar with your blood. Bottle. This bottle. It's only
Oh, it's a...
Well, the
Sure,
bottle
okay.
you have now is full. Do you want to empty it?
How many bottles do I have? 6?
Because the magic won't work. No, you have one bottle that has a certain amount of usage in it. And once the blood is out, it won't work again. You can't just, like, put the blood in another bottle.
Well, first we will have a Shal or someone take a look at this to make sure that this will work. If you follow instructions, surely it will work, right?
If this is a typical magical item, then yes, as long as it is not attuned to specific types of blood.
Oh, this is very domestic. I like this very much. You're doing your experiment, and we're like at the sink. Oh, it's wonderful. I miss Cinnabelle. Anyway.
Ashal doesn't have identifier or anything, so it's guesswork on Ashal's part as to whether this is...
I shall cast guesswork.
I will send a letter to Cinnabelle. Or a message. Can anyone message? Can I message?
I believe you are looking for the spell Sending, which is much longer distance.
Ah,
I
thank
can
you.
message, I cannot send.
Ah, let me see.
I don't think you can do
third
sending
level
yet.
spells. You have third level spells, you'll have it, you just won't have it prepared.
Oh.
Oh, I'll sleep and then prepare it.
I'm pretty sure it's just a generic cleric spell, it isn't a certain domain.
I don't know if it's... I didn't know if it was 3rd or 4th level.
It's third.
Yeah, in which case, if Ocean readies it, Ocean can cast Ascending.
Yeah. Do we need to do next day or something, or another?
That would have to be tomorrow, yeah, for you to do it. Which, to be fair, it's the end of the day, so...
In that case, I will prepare it for the next day, and anyone else can do what they're going to do. In the meantime,
Do you want to use that time to examine the bottle?
Yeah, why not? Might as well.
Oh, thanks.
Can't hurt.
It's an Arcana check.
And as Charlotte's always curious anyway, so...
It can't hurt
Oh.
unless you roll a 1. Well,
I broke the bottle, guys.
the Sanguine Noir bottle that was made by Lady Cinnabelle, not necessarily for Ocean, but gifted to Ocean, is a very precise thing. But in theory, being a kind of arcane enchantment, and it is an arcane enchantment, not a divine enchantment, it can be reverse engineered. That's the really nice thing about arcane magic, is it's basically code. The issue being, in attempting to reverse engineer it, it requires essentially dismantling the thing. Now, I don't think Ashar would want to go that far deliberately, but something that definitely occurs while Ashar is looking over the bottle during the night is that the charges in the bottle right now, which I believe you had 3 or 4, will be defunct. Which means you don't have to worry about what you're going to do with this blood, but it means you cannot commune with Ivrith until you find another loyal Ivrith person to commune with. You also don't get any answers in how it works. All you really get is that well, I can probably work out how it works if I take it apart. We don't want anyone else to really look at this because this is a powerful artifact of Ithrith. But it is arcane, so maybe you could send it to the Chronomancer to look at. At that point, kind of what could go wrong. But the 3 or 4 uses you had in the bottle are reduced to 0.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I wasn't really going to speak to her while we're doing this anyway.
What
I also want to
happens?
say that as Shao would not be as apologetic as Ian. They would be like a little bit contrite, but not like.
Ocean is mother to all. She knows.
Especially considering the way that the uses leave the bottle is as a red mist that into the air.
In like a skull shape.
Yeah, it was that or spiders, but like it's definitely like it is an ominous thing that happens as Charlotte kind of goes like a little probing magic. It's just like
like there
Was
would
that good? Was that bad?
there would definitely
Ashal?
be a moment where Ashal was like, "Damn, I was hoping that I could investigate that blood."
Well, you can still investigate the blood.
I'm afraid I can't congeal it back out of the air.
this is a bottle of red wine. You know what's at the bottom of red wine? Gross red wine gunk. So there is some congealed blood at the bottom of the bottle that will slop out if you put it into a glass.
Oh, I'm grabbing that.
Just enough for a vial.
Ashal,
Yeah.
Wash your hands.
Just enough for a
Ashal.
pudding.
Yeah.
Well.
Blood of Ithrith's faithful in my inventory.
Oh my God.
And it definitely does appear that the bottle is the catalyst for the magic that uses the blood as a fuel source, but also enchants the blood. And then there's a whole ritual around it as well. The ritual is essentially part of the magic item as well, so you'd need to kind of go through. You would need to go through the ritual.
I will get the instructions
To-
from.
Well, you have the instructions. You can cast the ritual.
Hell yeah.
You have cast it before
It
alone.
worked.
So, but to fully understand it, you would need to go through it, even if it was essentially a dry ritual. Because in an arcane way, each part of the ritual is an ingredient. The bottle alone has magic, but not enough magic to commune.
Yeah.
But it
I'm just-
doesn't seem to... Well, you don't know. You've never had anyone other than a loyalist drink the blood and do the ritual. You don't know if you invited Bogdan with the vial filled with Ithrith blood, what would happen. You don't know what happens if you fill it with Bogdan's blood, but you do the same ritual that you contacted Ithrith with. You don't know.
Do dumb experiments.
Do
Do
dumb
dumb experiments.
This is definitely one of those things that you might be able to knock out in a downtime week, you know, being like, okay, let's reconfigure the bottle.
We're waiting for the
Armor.
armor. There are things that I nearly said Jakin again. That Bogdan. Don't end both your names with N.
That's a pretty
Not my
common
real
one.
mom.
Do you want to send a message to Cinnabelle before we end off today's session?
Yes.
Sending allows you to send a 25-word message to someone you are intimately familiar with. I imagine Ian will be the one counting your word count. You cannot backspace.
Yes.
So think it through.
I'm gonna do the thing Travis does.
Yeah.
to,
This is it's a bit if there's it's exactly what you got to do.
Okay, so just making sure we want to I could do the ritual if I do ritual. So we're not asking about how to do this.
You know how to cast the ritual to use the bottle, the blood bottle.
Yes.
Right now it has no fuel, so you can't. Well, it won't work anyway. But you know how to do the ritual. That's something that Cinnabelle taught you.
Yeah.
so you cast it on your own. But
Okay.
you don't know if that ritual would work for other deities.
Mm-hmm. Okay. My love. Don't be alarmed.
I'm doing this so that Zoe isn't distracted.
Yes.
What are you doing, Jake? Attempting contact with the voice. Can use blood bottle?
You've still got another 11 words.
Uh-huh. Stop that, slashes. Stop it. I can't look at chat, you bastard.
Send telegram.
Nudes.
Send tapestry.
A tapestry would be pretty cool.
She
Anyway.
would.
Of course, you don't have to use all
You don't have to
25
use all
words.
25 words, but it is one. This is a use of your spells for the day. So if you are doing the heist today, you're going to have one less third level spell.
Any other way to commune?
You've got another 6 words if you need them.
Stop that. I keep looking at chat. Now you're contributing. We have potential blood of faithful.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, that's
With that,
25 exactly.
with that, the message is sent directly to the mind of Cinnabelle, who can now reply.
Yay.
You hear her voice in your mind. My love. Whose voice? The sanguine bottle contacts only Ivrith. Others' blood would stain my perfect design. It's probable, but well, who knows what happened? And then that connection between you is dropped.
Is it twice, I think? You've got 2 third level spell slots, so you can do it
But
once
if you
more.
do anything else today, you won't have those spell slots.
Yeah, but we're leaving it. We're finishing the episode.
You're finishing
we
the
don't
episode, but you're
necessarily
not
want
taking a rest. This is the morning.
All I heard there was, as far as she believes, it's designed only to work with Ivry.
Well, she made
but-
it.
True.
She made it to communicate with Ivrith.
I think the next step, so I don't forget for next week, is to take the bottle to
Harrenhal. It's not even that weird of one. We've gone weirder. It's not
I'm just
Oltsua.
finding it on the page.
Yeah. Oh, you want to take an artifact of your goddess to a rival church? Okay. I mean, it's not old enough to be an artifact, but it's definitely a powerful item. Like you would know from being a priestess of Ivrith, if the table's the other way around, that would be a boon to the church. To
see,
have
this is
another
what-
church's artifact or idol or something is basically increases your church's power.
That's a bad
It's a
idea.
feat.
I'll just have sex with her.
You see, this is why you always go to the back alley magicians. You never go to the official places. They
Yeah, they need
just
crazy chronomancers and
The
make whole
Chronomancer
plans
is a
about
weirdly good bet for this, which I kind of hate. But if
I'm
you
telling you,
can
all
find him-
roads lead to the chronomancer.
Time is linear. All paths lead to.
Some big
We
Loki
should
vibes.
definitely, we should definitely just do the experiment, if nothing else, for shits and giggles.
Well, we'll discuss bloodletting Bogdan next week.
If Bogdan dies, that's just the end of that arc.
That's a price I'm willing to pay to see if my little trinket works.
Trinket? I could commune with your goddess that only answers you in poignant silence.
Yeah, and it doesn't just work with you. Bogdan could drink his own blood.
Oh shit. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be Bogdan's blood.
You could
Why is that somehow worse?
It's a bit worse.
Because Cinnabelle used it on their own. So it's not tied just to Ocean. If anything, the fact that other people have lips means they might be able to drink from the blood bottle a little bit easier.
Oshun will tell Bogdan this, be like, if this, I don't want to
Well,
get your hopes up, but if
you
this
need-
works,
If you need
the
the blood of Ivrit's faithful, why don't you just take it from your baby?
I mean, can they be said to be faithful if they don't really have the sapience yet to have faith?
You don't
in
know the
God?
semantics of how the magic works.
Yeah.
Damn you, magic
was-
syntax!
not ethical.
I was just thinking, like, what happens if you?
Oh,
put,
sure,
like,
you'll
a
bloodlet your friend, but not your son.
Yeah,
What if
but
this baby has two? This baby's red. This baby is red. Maybe he got too much blood. Maybe he'll return
That's
to a
old timey doctor.
Maybe he'll return to a normal
If
color
it-
scheme like purple or
prescribe
black if you take some
leeches.
blood out of him. Yeah.
Ivrith works in mysterious ways. Maybe this was always the plan.
no.
Okay.
And
Well,
Chad, I didn't say kill the baby. I said take some blood out of the baby. You know how
Well,
many
they've got
times
a
babies
lot
get
of
blood
blood,
drawn?
Miriam. If I were an old lady, if I were a child and an old lady, a green, nice old lady came up to me and said, "Hello, little girl. I've got a hot date later and they expect me to look younger. Can I have some of your blood?" I'd give it to her. She needs it.
that's a
When did the Chronomancer walk in?
no. That's a Worthy Kids bit, but it's so good that I have it memorized because I love that joke. It's all about witches on Tinder. It's great. I'll probably link it in like the stream spoilers later.
Yes.
This is clearly the end of the session due to the order has become chaos.
Half an hour to do
Complete
the
dismantling.
So we've got a lot of things to do next time. Nothing like urgent, but like you can think whether you want to ask more questions, whether you want to focus on the magical experiments, whether you want to do the heist before you get the armor, because you know if you do the heist right, you won't need any armor. All that kind of thing. So that's today's session. It's a great old time.
That was fun. Good to be back.
Yeah, we're back in the swing of things, and hopefully, you know, there's a lot more Jarviskjir coming your way. Before we do all that spiel, though, I'll let you do your spiel, starting with Jaken. I know you got exciting stuff going on. Well, I mean, you always do. It's kind of a bit of a punch to go. You got exciting stuff going on. It's like, well, the other stuff clearly wasn't exciting. I mean, come on.
Well, thanks for having me on, Ollie. This Sunday, the 1st, we'll be doing another one-shot. One of my players, Caddy, will be... I don't remember what they call it. The Keeper of Mysteries, I think, because we're going to be playing Monster of the Week, which is going to be really exciting. We have just the most cursed crew you could imagine.
It's part of the plan in Monster of the Week. isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's bad. So if you, it's gonna be a lull play for sure. So if you want to come and laugh alongside us, come join us on the 1st, and then yeah.
All right, Ian and Zoe.
That's a good start. Yes. The only thing I have to remark on is that you should go and subscribe to Ollie's Patreon, because if you like this show, there is another show that is podcasted on the Patreon for $5 a month that features me, Neil, who was on this show for a long time.
Neil's great.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that before.
Various other very entertaining individuals, and that's a bit more typical D&D with
Pirates.
shenanigans, pirates.
No
yeah.
pirates!
Actually, that's true. We've somehow managed to go.
You have avoided piracy.
We're like
or
nearly
either
30
enemy or friendly, aside from maybe what Nert's got going on. But
Yeah.
that's not pirates. You're not pirates.
We're like, what, nearly 30 episodes in, and we've avoided
Yeah.
pirates in a naval campaign? This is incredible.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And also, there is a it's not, well, that, I suppose it might be Patreon. We haven't ironed out the details yet, but there is another
There's
sort
another
of
thing
project
coming
in the
soon.
works.
So there's two things coming soon. So let me say that. I'm looking to do a weekend Jarviskjir campaign, probably on Saturdays. That is a little long. That's a long ways away. Sooner is something with Ian that we might do. Is going to be on Tuesdays every other week instead of our regular Tuesday stream, which will be on our Discord. And I think what we're going to be doing is that patrons and Twitch supporters may be allowed to listen in live if we have the energy for it on the day. So that is a option. We haven't worked out the details though yet, but that's something we're interested in. So it's something that will
very
be
interested in.
that Ian's very interested in. That we can't really talk about. And I also can't really talk about the upcoming Saturday game because I don't know what the cast is like. But I'm looking at getting in more people. And actually, honestly, it's because Jaken, you've been such a good cast member coming into the world, bringing a lot of your ideas that I'm like, you know what? Maybe other people have ideas that are worth listening to every now and again. I don't know.
Probably just Jaken, to be honest.
So there are things coming up, especially as my treatments continue for my chronic illness. Thank you, Ian.
Experimental treatments.
It's not experimental treatment. It's an experimental. Well, it is an. It is a trial to go. Hey, people with chronic illnesses, we should probably treat them for their disease, right? We should probably do that. I know it like costs money, but like we should maybe like do that so they can live. Is that a thing we should do? I don't know. Let's do science about it. Anyway.
Yep.
Zoe.
You'll feel better.
Zoe, what do you want to got going on?
We're writing Schism.
I wonder how that's coming up on the
Board Game
text.
Geek.
Clap, clap.
Clap, clap.
Wouldn't it be great if the closed captions had clapping emojis?
It would be so good if we could code it to do emojis. This science does not exist yet.
If we went ooh-woo and we got an actual ooh-woo.
I think ooh-woo might be plausible. Now I gotta watch it. I haven't got it up. Not yet.
Wait.
I'm looking at the wrong thing.
Ooh-woo.
No, it's just blank. Nothing. Nothing happens.
No, I
Oh,
can't do
oh,
it.
who won? There you go.
There is no uwu here.
Why, Ian? Why? God. We all exist in this space. You don't need to be so loud.
Yeah, Zoe is the lead writer for Schism. Schism is coming soon. And in theory, this new Saturday campaign will kind of tie into the first Schism set in vague ways. In like, it'll be same sort of part of the world, same sort of tone. But of course, our first Schism set actually is a good like 8 or so years in the past. So how has Jarviskjir changed in those 8 years or so is going to be one of the things that is going to come up in that campaign, hopefully. I'm very excited for it. I'm excited to be healthy enough to like work on projects again and like actually be excited about it. And it's going to be a whole lot of a good time. As Ian said, the show is supported by patrons. It's supported by Twitch follows. Hopefully the closed captions were a bit of fun and not too distracting and may be helpful. they will only get better with time, I think. I definitely appreciate having them there. So we'll I'll work on that more, and we'll see you next week, hopefully next week, for more discussions about whether or not we should whose blood should we take and drink.
Whether the baby is always spying on us or only sometimes.
We also need to determine the
how-
exact ounces of the bottle.
I love how little progress we make sometimes in this.
Those are always
That's
the
called
best
role-playing
sessions,
games?
though. Yeah,
They are the best sessions.
It's just like
yeah.
you're just living in the world as your characters. That's what it's all about for me.
Exactly.
I agree
Exactly.
completely. Yeah.
You have on episodes and off episodes.
Well, we're now about to have an off episode. Bye.